Hi, woo. Got everyone's attention up top. All right, Tom Lombardi, Head of Market Development for the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. Enterprise is not a word you thought you would hear today, but we are big supporters of this organization, and we certainly have a lot of initiatives around social impact. I wasn't really sure what to talk about today. I wanted to stay away from the normal pitch. I was told a sort of a TED Talk style, so maybe we can find some compromise today. You see from the screen, half of you want to save the world, half of you want to fire the middle office. There's certainly a balance between this emerging technology and sort of starting from the basics of, what can be the baby steps? What are some of the low-hanging fruit? And a lot of our members are trying to address those, but it takes the people in this room to make that transformational change. And the EA is creating standards around enterprise-ready blockchain deployments. So I'll get to that in a bit. Just a little bit of KYC. How many people work for a nonprofit? I do. I'm raising my hand. All right. How many are blockchain professionals? Okay, almost less. So I sound like a pro. Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I'm here and why enterprise, and maybe some tips to sort of kickstart this. So why the enterprise? Technologists today are working on platforms that were unimaginable 10 years ago. And I mean, if we look at something like Ethereum, it only went live like less than three years ago. So, to say nascent is almost not giving its credit. I mean, this is the not even the first pitch of the first inning of the game. And so what we're doing is we're bringing organizations together to create standards and to create an environment where people have shared systems and common goals, so that we can all partake in this ecosystem and not just have proprietary siloed projects. Okay, so you've seen this quote before, right? First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. I believe that was misquoted by our President Trump recently. I didn't see him on the way in, so I think we're good. But Tim May took it a step further, reposted by the great Nick Szabo. At first they say it's theoretically impossible. You think about a platform like Bitcoin, how could how could thousands of, GPU rigs or ASICs miners keep a ledger of the global financial system, right? It's a valid question. We get to the next step. Maybe possible, but certainly not practical, right? This is the view of the banks as this tech was emerging, and banks have built these billions of dollars of these legacy systems throughout the 80s and 90s, and that's when they were built, and we're still using those same systems. So they're certainly ready for an upgrade, but it's not practical, feasible. The next one, but only fringe groups are using it, right? So look at the early days of Bitcoin. We had nefarious characters. We saw things like Silk Road, some of the complications with Mt. Gox, and it was looked at as a hobbyist and a hobbyist sort of group, but also embraced by people harboring terrorism or the drug trade. You constantly hear that from politicians and certain corporate leaders. All right, so later. We are studying it. This was 2016 for large companies. This is the year of the distributed ledger technology. It's a more professional way of saying blockchain, right? It sounds more elegant. It looks better in a corporate deck. And this was sort of my eye-opening experience. You know, my background, I'm a recovering investment banker. You know, I saw the clear conflict between stakeholders and between customers and banks and information sharing and investors maximizing returns. It's you know, you think there's sausage made in Washington. You know, look at some of these global banking institutions. And then, you know, I stepped back from that and said, well, I worked for a foundation. I was managing their private equity investments. The intent was there, but the content wasn't. It was still sort of this old world recycling of capital. But I spent some time running an e-commerce company, and the two, I always say that my banking experience and my tech experience created a Bitcoin baby. And it was something that I had to take full custody of that. And so when I look back at like 2016, these banks are studying it, it was just sort of a pause. It was a pause, it was a reflection. Here we are today, and this is now, and this is the exciting part. It is the future. We are here to provide governance and regulation. This kind of sort of gives me goosebumps right now, because something I've been so passionate about over the last three and a half years is really coming to fruition, and it took a long path for me to get here. Before that, I want to tell a story. Does anyone know about Luis Cuende? Anyone know? We got one. Okay, one. Two. All right. So I can't make up this story. I've got to be a little bit clear. So Luis Cuende, he was an impoverished young man out of Spain. He was 12 years old, and he started developing open source software at the age of 12. His father was a software developer, but he came from a very humble background. His family had problems with banking systems. They couldn't get loans. He was so bright, he was appointed the advisor to the European Commission for technology and hacking specifically. But he was discriminated. He was discriminated by his age because he was so young. You know, he can't fire up an LLC in Delaware or probably even a foundation in Zug. He was discriminated with his upbringing. He didn't have a degree from Stanford or the leading schools. And so he had this sort of, you know, these headwinds that were really suppressed his growth. So what did he do? He created a system called Aragon Network. It is a digital jurisdiction for self-sovereignty. It allows groups, companies, nonprofits, NGOs to establish themselves, capital formation, partnerships, without the bias of where you're from, who you are, age, gender, and capital. And, you know, he saw this opportunity, and, you know, Aragon is something that he saw that governments couldn't take away from him. It was essentially, you know, no one could expropriate what was built, and that was his dream. That was his dream, and he. Last year, Aragon Group raised $25 million in an ICO, and that network is worth close to $90 million today. So, you know, harnessing the power of this technology for everyone, not just the corporations who are members of the EEA, not just governments who are looking for better ways to track their citizens, but a way for individuals to coordinate, a way for individuals to come together in capital formation of partnerships. That's what we aspire to do. All right, so I got to pay the bills here. So the EEA, Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, we're a standards organization, sort of run parallel to the Ethereum Foundation. Our roadmap includes things like permission blockchains. This is part of the crawl before you get in a rocket ship. So we're helping our members build frameworks around permission blockchains and giving them the tool set to get involved. So the announcement today, we're launching, we have a number of working groups, much like BSIC has working groups around industry verticals. And today we're going to launch a working group around social impact. And the way that works is that a lot of our work is around groupthink and cooperation. And so social impact organizations have different requirements and different priorities. So our membership base has 527 members, I believe, and we want to bring some of these incubator projects in front of them. We want to bring some of these global, social organizations to bring real use cases, to bring problem sets, to bring ideas, so that our members can get access, certainly for scale, and to bring this to the mainstream. I mean, that's really what we're trying to do. Escaping the sort of doldrums of basement programmers and bringing it to the landscape where your parents and grandparents are asking you about this blockchain thing. I mean, I think that would be a measure of our success. I just want to sort of end with a couple notes. I got the commercial biz out of the way. Beginner's mind. I had a sort of an interesting path getting in this industry, and it's blockchain is not something you can just sort of pipe into your existing systems. For some things, maybe, but the way it'll change this world requires a total reset of your thinking. And I encourage you to step back and to kind of, leave your preconceptions at the door. And, we have a lot of these ICOs, and there's a lot of noise in the market, and there's a lot of, but there are a lot of really good ideas that maybe aren't ready for today, but we can look to in 5, 10, 25 years as viable platforms. So, I use the example, I have a 3.5-year-old, and he's a handful. And the things that he says and the things that he sees that I don't see, he looks at pictures and he says, "There's a guitar," because he loves guitars. And I'm looking at the foreground, and he's bringing in information that he doesn't filter. And so, kids are so sort of pure in that sense. And, with all of our experience through life, through business, we have this sort of mental model as to what's important, right? Our profit's important, our user growth important, right? But if we use our beginner's mind, right, and our Shoshin and in Zen Buddhism, then we can reset, and I think it takes that level of reset to be successful in this space. Just wanted to another little plug. I work with. I took 2 years off of my professional career. Again, this is sort of part of the reset. And one of the efforts I worked, organization called Operation Hope out of Los Angeles, and it's about teaching. Inner city kids and adults about financial responsibility. And my experience with them and the questions they asked me are just amazing. So we just got to...
Team money!
We got to run this.
Was that fun? You guys learn a lot?
God, I'm too short.
All right, let's get you down here.
Too short, yay!
All right, guys. That's it.
Have that beginner's mind, and ask questions that you didn't think were within your reach, and using, thinking about the implications of blockchain technology and what it can do for you and your organization. It comes from those far-reaching places. So, thanks for your time.